Welcome back, everybody. My name is Tim. This is another Real Ideal Gear Review. And today we're talking about colorful watches for summertime and fall, two of the most colorful times of the year. Summertime because it's just bright and sunny outside. And then fall with the changing of the leaves and all the colors that are present out there. It's just, I think, appropriate to wear really colorful watches. So I have a series of watches out here that I just want to talk about different qualities and characteristics about the watch that not only have good color, but there's also some other interesting things on the watch, on the bracelet, on the strap, whatever it is, that just adds even more interest to a watch that probably garners more attention when you wear it. Some of these watches I wear because I want the watch to kind of stand out, maybe start a conversation. So we're going to start off with probably the most boring watch, the company that's probably the most talked about for reasons other than bright and colorful watches. Although I say that and I have to bite my tongue because there are so many Casios out there that are bright and colorful. I'm just not that person. So I kind of put that in the back of my mind. So when I say Casio, I think black resin case, black resin strap. But the reality is Casio does all kinds of colorful things. Now, the reason I bring this one up, this is the MD, or is it the MTD? It's the MTD 1074. This is a sport watch, quartz movement, 100 meters of water resistance, and it really just does an outstanding job of being a sports watch. Now, the bracelet on here was terrible, and so I replaced the bracelet with this FKM black leather or FKM black rubber strap. And I really like this for one reason alone, if only one reason alone, and that is the black really helps accentuate the second hand even further, because with the metal bracelet on here, it kind of adds, or detracts, I should say, some attention away from the dial and away from the watch a little bit more. But with a plain black FKM rubber strap like this, you just go right back to the dial, because this is kind of boring. It's the tropic strap. But you go back to this and you start looking at this, like there's the red second hand, hour hand, it's got the arrow on. You just start inspecting the dial, and it really is kind of an enjoyable thing. So color doesn't have to be huge amounts of color. Maybe it's just a splash of color here or there, which brings me to the next watch, which is the Aurora titanium field watch, which really is more of a sport watch, if you ask me. This watch, I think, does a great job because, again, there's that little splash of color on the second hand running around. Also, you have the aventurine dial, the fume dial in the center, all that kind of like metallic flaking that's going on inside the dial. And then to kind of bring the attention and keep it on the dial, you have a very polished titanium case and bracelet. So it doesn't really, grab attention away from the dial. You just get fixed on the dial, stay with it, and then start inspecting it. You start to see all kinds of different things there. Now, if you want to go simple, but you want to go bright, check out the San Martin SN022. This is a full lume dial. Whenever you go full lume, go with full blackout hands, okay? If you go full lume and you go full lume handset, you typically have a black outline around the handset, which also means that the legibility or the contrast is much lower. It makes the reading of the time even more difficult. So I'm always going for a blackout handset on full lume dials if I can help it. Now, engineer bracelet kind of brings back a little bit more attention to the whole watch setup, because this really isn't a very, attention-grabbing watch. This is kind of a dull-looking watch. But if you're looking for something that's bright and just bright white, white can do it probably better in the wintertime, but white can really do a good job here. I think this is a great fit for summertime watch. I do wear this in the summertime. Now, one of my all-time favorite summertime watches is the Bernie. I'll put the model number down here so you can see it. This 200-meter water resistance compressor style watch is phenomenal when it comes to colors for the summer. I love the rubber strap, super soft, supple rubber strap fitted to the case. You have the colors on here. Now, this is, I think, an important technique that you might want to try. When you're looking at a colorful dial like this, look for colors that are opposite on the color wheel. So orange is on the opposite side of the color wheel from blue. Therefore, you're going to get more contrast visually on the dial with opposite colors from the color wheel. And that's what I did. I saw it, I was like, well, the blue, I don't know about the blue. And then I realized, the orange is in there, and it adds really a lot of contrast to the dial. So I went with it. And I think that's something to keep in mind. Bright colors, bright orange, you got the blue it's a dull blue when you look at the dial. It's not really a flashy dial as far as it doesn't have a sunburst effect or anything like that or texturing. But the orange just jumps out with this watch. Now, the first watch that got me into watches that have color on them is the Steel Dive 1970. This is the homage to the Willard, the Seiko Willard. Love this watch. Now, I've replaced this with an aftermarket engineer bracelet, which I also really like. I just love the flash that this kind of gives off. And again, that's kind of a reminder that not only can you have a little bit of flash off the dial, but you can get some flash off the bracelet as well. The color on here, I like it. I'm not a huge guy on really bright fluorescent colors. I'm just not there yet. Hence why on the Casio side of things, I'm just not there yet. But I love this orange, or this yellow, I should say. This yellow colored dial is phenomenal. Now, I didn't realize this until after I picked it up, but when I started looking at the second hand, I noticed that there's a little red dot on the second hand. That's typical of the Willard style watches. But again, another little tiny splash of color that's on the dial to kind of give your eyes something else to look at on here. Now, orange, yellow, both of these I love, and this is kind of that egg yolk yellow. This is the Zelos Swordfish 40 Ember. Full lume dial, full lume bezel, love it. Blackout handset, like I said before. And this is one of the watches that I wear when I really want to make a statement as far as color goes. It's pretty bright. You have a little bit of flash on the edge of the chamfered edges here on the bracelet. You also have a little bit of color or flash, I should say polish on the edges of the case as well. So just, going with some color I think is great. Full lume dials I think are awesome. They can really do that, especially with really bright colors. And at the nighttime, you get the orange color on here, which is great too. So not only orange during the daytime, but you also get the orange at night. Now, this is the Baltony the S4030, I believe. Yeah, S4030. I call it the Nautilus because it just reminds me of a portal on an old ship. All right, bronze bezel on here, bronze crown, and it's already turning. It's patinaing towards that darker bronze color with a little bit of like that dull black infusion of oxidation in there. I love it. Now, this is an example of a sunburst dial. I almost said starburst. Sunburst dial. So that when you move the dial, you get that color that chases around the sun or chases the light around the dial. And so I think this is another option that you could definitely take advantage of when it comes to colorful dials. Just making sure that you have something that's even of more interest on here. And, this one probably is a little bit leaning more towards the fall because of the dark maroon color, but just fantastic. I love the colors. Now the Revlot 39, the Hex Mariner 39, this is an example of what you can do with texture in the dial. So take a look at the texturing that's going on here. You've got all these hex shapes, hexagonal shapes in here, and it's just fantastic. The shapes of the hour markers are all hexagons as well. So it just adds more interest. Not only that, you have the gold gilting on here, and you also have the dark green. So to me, the color combination of those two is an awesome combination. Now, one of the best for texturing of this class really is the Wise Adamascus 88. There's a dive watch, 200 meters of water resistance. The Revlot was 200 meters. I think the Baltony was at least 100, maybe 200. And most of these others are 200 meters of water resistance, especially if they're a dive watch. Fantastic watch. Look at the texturing on this dial. It's unbelievable. The handset is unique. Look at the hour hand. It's very unique. Great lume on here. Real simple. Now, it used to have a maroon colored leather strap, which I liked. But again, when you put a black strap on here and you have a red dial, it just focuses the attention on the dial. So keep that in mind when it comes to strap choices. Now, one of my favorite classic chronograph, just classy looking chronograph. This is the Sugis SU60. The SU60 has the sunburst dial, very blue, just the perfect color blue in my opinion. You've got the unique hour markers that are on here. I say unique, it's actually probably homaged after the Glashut, but that's part of the game of AliExpress. But again, that sunburst adds some motion to the watch. You've got a classy looking chronograph. So don't forget chronographs can also have splashes of color on there as well. And if you look at the chronograph second hand real close, there it is, a little bit of red on the second hand. So when that's moving, get it going here. So when that's moving, you get to see a little bit of red moving around the dial. So to me, fantastic color combination. Now, we couldn't go a list without a Seiko on here. This is the Seiko SKA 791, if I remember right. Let me pull this up. Yeah, the SKA 791. This is the kinetic movement, all right? Another great sunburst dial, but it has different layers in here. It has different angles. So when you're looking at not only color, but you can get different flashes of color, different depths of color because of the different layers within the dial. So take a look at that as well. And also contrasting colors on the leather strap or the strap itself with the dial can also be another color combination that you can look at. I love this color combination. This is the way it came to me. I got it from Amazon. Just fantastic. And again, a little splash of red in there. You have the red arrow pointing at the date. Just cool, all right? So when you're looking at color, when you're looking at watches for summer, fall, the colorful times of the year, the really bright days, bright watches. Dull days, dull watches. Or if you want to be contrarian, you could put the colorful watches on dull days too. But I just really think summertime, fall deserves to have, deserve is kind of a bad word because there's no expectation for it, but really fits in well with colorful watches. So these are some options for you. I hope you have some ideas when it comes to dial, texturing, bracelets, materials. You got bronze in there, you got stainless steel, all kinds of things. You got the polish, you've got the brushed to help keep focus on the dial, those kinds of things. There's all kinds of options to really focus in on something that's very colorful. So I'm looking forward to your comments on this one. Let me know what you think. Other ideas that you have, other watches that are out there that have just beautiful colors for this time of year. Also check out my store, realidealgear.com. I've got some used, I shouldn't say, well, it's not really used or reviewed watches, more closely related to like new, almost new in the box kind of a thing. So check that out, realidealgear.com, for some good, cheaper prices on some really quality watches, knives, flashlights, those kinds of things. So there you go. My name is Tim. This has been another Real Ideal Gear review. We'll catch you guys next time.